Student engagement, necessary for second language acquisition, will reach its maximum potential! Welcome to Teaching with Student Actors. I'm your teacher host, Sarah Breckley.com. Why in the world would we want students to control our classroom? I need the attention. I know best. I'm the teacher. Well, I've got some pretty good reasons for you. Number one. If we really want students to acquire a new language, we must engage them with interesting, compelling, engaging, awesome input. It's not enough to be just comprehensible. It has to stir up some kind of emotion. Sure, I can be interesting, but not every day. Not every day. And student actors are a perfect way to outsource the energy. Your wacky students are super interesting. And they're way more interested in each other. And they're way more interested in themselves than you. According to Crashen, this compelling input can eliminate the need for motivation because learners acquire whether they're focusing on language learning or not. It's the compelling input hypothesis. Number two, learning language in context instead of learning language for language learning reasons. Language is best taught when it's being used to transmit messages, not when it's explicitly taught for conscious learning. By using a fun activity like acting or storytelling, you help remove the focus from learning language and getting it perfect to just being interested. They start learning languages by default because they want to know what's going on. It's the paradox of language teaching. We need to personalize with familiar goals and familiar topics that students want to talk about. They want to get to know each other and they want to get to know their classmates. Real students doing real things makes the audience stop focusing on the form and start having fun. An activity with student actors puts the language in a scene for students to use. You're not giving them some random list of words with no purpose to categorize and memorize. When kids have an emotional response in context, they're way more likely to learn the language. Number three, community building to lower that affective filter. You need to create a safe place for learners to experiment with the language without being graded. Just let them connect to each other on a different level. Let your students connect with each other over stories and combined emotional experiences. We need to instill a sense of group belonging, and everything we do with our students needs to help lower that affective filter. We need to keep their anxiety low by making our classroom feel less like a classroom. I'm not a teacher. You're not a student. We're just having fun. Nothing to say here. We're just learning by accident. These activities with drama and student actors help students use language spontaneously. These low-pressure drama activities without teacher error correction help students become more confident in the language together. They have a lot of language fun with their friends, and then when they leave, they can use it on the streets. Number four, acting things out increases comprehension. To ensure that students get the most input possible, teachers need to give tens and tens of linguistic supports. Drawing, circling, point pause, eye contact, cognates, translation, slow down, keep it on topic, I+1, comprehension checks, realia, pictures, props, product, pantomime, facial expressions, and guess what else? Modeling with student actors. Student actors acting as a comprehension support will encourage them on their language journey. And when you combine language and skits, it's going to be way more memorable. And it will help them internalize the language learning forever and ever and ever. Now that you're in, I'm going to give you my best tips for teaching with student actors. Number one, have you created a solid, safe community learning space? If you've noticed a culture of bullying or a dominant group who the rest are scared to express themselves around, or a little jerk who always says jerky things, imagine what you haven't noticed. Kids aren't going to have fun and share their communicative acting abilities when they're living in fear of getting picked on for what you're asking them to do. You got to clean that up before you can use student actors. Don't set them up for failure. It's time to clean that up. End it. Better end it. Sometimes it's too intense to have a parent-teacher conference at school. Those are kind of big deals. And sometimes these things aren't big enough for me to feel the need to have a conference after school. Hold Frida after school and call mom and dad on speakerphone. This is how I like to call mom or dad. Bye kids, have a good day. Hey Frida, would you just take a seat for a minute? Yeah, I'll write you a pass to your next class. Thanks. See you guys. Bye. Bye. Hey Frida, do you mind if I call your mom? Okay. Hey Frida's mom, this is Sarah Breckley. I'm Frida's Spanish teacher at the high school. Yeah, I love having Frida in class. She's great at lots of things. She's so funny and outgoing. She has so much to offer to our class. Well, we kind of had a rough day today and I have her here. I'm gonna let her tell you what happened. Speakerphone. Here she is. I'm gonna put you on speakerphone. Go ahead, Frida. Why don't you tell your mom how your day went? Yeah, that's kind of what happened. That's all right. Well, I'm sure it'll get better. I'm just letting you know so we can work on her behavior together. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks, Frida. Talk to you soon. Bye. Have a good day, Frida. Luces, cámara, acción. Listen. 2, you gotta teach your kids how to audience. I give this rubric to my kids so they can grade themselves during the first few weeks of school. They can give themselves 1 point if my head was up, I looked interested, and I was watching 90% of the time. 1 point. I always responded with enthusiasm. This is the perfect time for rejoinders. Catch Grant Boulanger's presentation. Pobrecito. Qué bonito. Ay, papi. No me digas. Oh, no. No te creo. Es obvio. Ay, qué lástima. No me digas. Claro que sí. Then get another point if I didn't speak English. 1 point. I did not have unrelated side conversations. 1 point. I contributed to the story. One suggestion I gave was... ¡No se vaya! ¡Día de los Muertos! Tenía pelo largo. ¡Fue un pepino! ¡Lechuga! Un libro bueno. Entró la policía. México. Billy la bufanda. Estaba borracho. Crocodilio. Uniceja. Una planta. Kim Kardashian. Shawn Mendes. Corro. Grande. Free cow. Vino en bici. Limonada. Una llama. Solo tenía rojo. Mangas largas. Pecas. Una pelota grande. We also practice clapping like it's the best thing they've seen in their whole life. Or like the Packers just scored a goal. Or like the Bears just scored a goal. Or like the 49ers just scored a goal. Or your favorite bachelor just got selected. I don't know what you want. Your actors need to feel super special. And guess what? When someone doesn't clap, I give them the stank eye. After a few stories, we don't use these rubrics anymore, but they know what we expect of them. Number 33, actor motivation. You want your students to want to be actors in your class. And here are some of the strategies I've used. Bribes. I mean rewards. Perhaps there's something you can give to your students to get what you want them to give to you. I have a great list that I'll link in the show notes. But a Culver's ice cream coupon, or a special call home to dad, or una fiesta de tacos might just do the trick. I also like to put out ads for student actors. Our student council creates a weekly newsletter called Toilet Talk, and they post it in the stalls on the back of the doors in all the bathrooms. Toilet Talk usually includes weekly sporting events, birthdays, school announcements, jokes, other things that kids can read while they're pooping. Underneath Toilet Talk is where I hang these wanted posters. You gotta get the whole school excited for what's happening in your room that only 180 kids get to participate in. 33 kids a class, 6 hours a day. Math's hard. ¿Tienes talentos? ¿Quieres ser famoso? Breckley está en búsqueda de actores. Trabajan durante las clases. No van a ganar nada. Habla con Breckley en la hora 246. And another way I convince these kids to participate is to have cool kids participating. You know those kids you had last year who loved your class and you were their favorite teacher and they were the best actors and they did everything right? Well, they might not be your student anymore, but guess what? They have a study hall. And they can come in and entertain the kids you have now and they'll be like, oh, upperclassmen think this is fun. Oh, the cool kids who are older like doing these kinds of things. Oh, I like to do it too. It gives them the freedom to get out of the box. You gotta show them this isn't weird. This is awesome.
Su compañero es un Daryl Grande. Que mira cuando hay problemas. Nota una avispón gris. De más de mi superhéroe favorito. Porque no está escuchando.
Now that you've convinced some kids to participate, you've got some actors, we gotta figure out what to do with them. We gotta prep them for the big screen. For the big room. We gotta prep them for the little classroom with way too many kids in it. Before I start using student actors, I give them this survey. It's a TPRS actor questionnaire. Every class is gonna have star actors who are gonna volunteer every time. They'll always do a good job. However, I still want everybody else to participate. There's novelty in getting the quiet kids out of their seats and participating. I want the kids who are less likely to want to participate to be able to do so without fear. The value of all classroom activities is measured by the degree to which you can lower the affective filter, as well as the amount of comprehensible input. Fear raises your affective filter, lessens your ability to learn a language. You can't expect the introverts and the contemplators and the observers to have a low affective filter when you're asking them to bark like a dog. So we have to make acting safe for them by letting them know that we're gonna pick a role for them that's safe. Like a shopkeeper holding a box of products that never says or moves. Or like a treat. Or like the teacher just sits on her butt at her desk. So I created this questionnaire for my students. Let me tell you about it. All they have to do is check 1 of 5 boxes to tell me how they feel about story acting. On a scale of 1 through 5, how excited are you about acting in this class? Option 1, I'd rather eat staples. Option number 2, whatever. Option 3, I'll try anything once. Option 4, team player status. Option 5, I was born for this. So if a student tells me that they'd rather eat staples than act in one of my skits, I'm letting them know that I'm gonna give them a role that's safe. I go through these. Johnny, you're acting today. You get to be the tree. And I pick up Sam's and it says he was born for this. I'm like, Sam's gonna be the elephant who runs through and breaks everything. Another way to include the kids who'd rather eat staples is to let them act with puppets. Hi. Hi. Hiding behind a curtain of safety might be just what they need to participate.
¿Dónde está el equipaje?
Another way that all can participate is to tell a story with group acting. Let's say there's 3 characters in the story. Divide the students into 3 equal groups and assign a character to them. When that character says something or acts, they simultaneously stand up and all do it together. You have maximum participation and the introverts know that the extremists will get all the attention anyway. Before you bring your actors up, you need to decide in advance if they're going to talk. Do you actually want them to say anything? You, the teacher, are the best source of output, but that doesn't mean they can't talk. You can have them repeat after you, in which case you should have some kind of command so they know that they should say something like talk with your hand, le dice, habla, di algo, se repite, or just elbow them. Or you could just whisper the lines in their ears. Or you could write the lines down in advance.
Quiero leer mi libro pero no tengo mis gafas.
Oh no!
Tú tienes mi gafas.
Sí!
Also, before you bring the actors up, we need to establish meaning. If you want them to feel comfortable, the audience has to stay engaged, and they're only gonna stay engaged if they know what's going on. To establish meaning for the new language, you could translate, you could do some TPR, you could generate gestures for these words. Jueves. Lunes, martes, miércoles, jueves. ¿Qué día es jueves? Gracias, Thursday. Clase. El jueves, yo no estuve aquí en la escuela. Mis estudiantes tuvieron sustituta. You'll get more volunteers if the students see you respect them enough to not let them fail. And if you have a role and you really expect a student to perform out of the box, you might want to talk to them during passing period before class ever starts. It could be a good idea to say, hey, would you mind running into class spontaneously with a Yama suit on a tractor? We need a plan! I need to have a plan for what I'm gonna do with these student actors. So where the heck do I get these stories? You need a good story. My favorite option is using foolproof TPRS story scripts by Amatava. I love you, Amatava. I love you, Amatava. I love you, Amatava. Amatava, be my best friend. Hug you, Amatava. You changed my life, Amatava. She makes these amazing stories that repeat structures and have great endings. The best part is that there's variables that are underlined that you can take out and replace with student suggestions. These are the details that can be asked of the students so you can co-create the story. So every class hour you'll have a story that feels a little different. Ideas para nuestro cuento. Clase famosa. Necesito una persona famosa. ¿Están de acuerdo? ¿Les gusta Britney Spears?
Kim Kardashian. Kim Kardashian.
Oh no, Kim, Taylor, Brittany, ¿quién quieren? I'll link to some of her stories in the workshop notes. Martina Bex also did a post on using story scripts. I'll link to that one too. And Justin Slocum Bailey once posted, because the students make up the details themselves, they're way more interested in what happens. And you can make the stories as easy or as hard as you want to. You want to know another way I find stories? I got these sweet Mad Lib books on Amazon Prime. My favorite one is this Mad Lib's Junior book. My favorite new video game is Super C Blank. To win the game, you have to find the blank treasure in the ship before you blank. Buy a huge blank! I always choose to be the blank because he has super blank that grow each time he eats a blank. But you can only get those in the blank seaweed forest that's full of sharks with laser blanks. You have to be really blank to get one. One time I was blanked by a jellyfish and I had to grab him by his blank to get free. When you win the game, a blank mermaid appears and you ride away in a giant blank with treasure. See what I mean? They're fun. Want another one? Monta un rinoceronte negro detrás de mi superhéroe favorito. Bam! Cuando no está luchando, se hace pasar por el rey de Wakanda. Another story you could use with actors is the story you created with your Wonder Word image. Tina Hargan and Ben Slavic are the one-word image experts, and you can watch the CI Liftoff channel to see how it's done. I also filmed my first try and posted my reflections on my vlog, sarahbreckley.com. Feel free to check it out. Más grande que la escuela?
No.
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 Serio.
¿Es más grande que mi casa?
Sí.
Sí.
Yes, sí.
¿Es tan grande como un árbol?
Yeah.
Sí.
Arbol.
Yo, Tonto.
No, es azul, no tiene pelo y es muy tonto. ¿Es rico o pobre?
Rico.
Es rico.
Muy
Es rico. Tiene mucho dinero. After you've created your one-word image character, you write about them, you draw them, you visualize them, you circle with them, you PQA with them, you recycle them, you hang out with them at a bar. You can also ask a student to play the role and bring them to life. This way you can reinforce what they learned, extend the story, and simply make it more entertaining and provide more repetitions. Have you tried special person interviews yet? Another place you can get your stories are via your special person interviews. Special person interviews are brought to you by Bryce Hedstrom. And what we get to do is make a student feel special for the day by interviewing them in front of the class. I think that you could consider your special person to be the day's actor.
Yo puedo ganar más dinero cuando yo no necesito trabajar y yo puedo decir qué rico yo soy en todos de la gente en América y yo voy a ser un político en la futura. Yo voy a trabajar mucho dinero y yo voy a describir la futura para todos de nosotros. Los hijos son nuestra futura. No podemos vivir en la futura sin hijos. Esta escuela es para todos de nosotros.
Some special questions I like to ask are, do you have a special talent that you'd perform for us in front of the class?
Hola. Bien, está dibujando un unicornio. Miren, es su talento. Y su talento es jugar al fútbol. ¿Listo?
Sí.
Acción. Dun-dun. Oh.
Do you do imitations?
Oh.
And can you demonstrate for us what you do at your job? These are super entertaining and can be less scary than when you give them the label actor during story time. Do you use songs in class? It's a great way to make cultural connections, and you can have actors act out the songs.
Enamore, no te vayas.
Do you do movie talks? Or clip chats? Or clip talks? Or picture talks? Or picture chats? Or video chats? Or video clicks? Or chapstick? Students are learning a lot of language with these clip chats in your class. Why not let a student prove their comprehension and give them another chance to provide a repetition for their friends by allowing them to act out the scenes? I like to share a clip chat, then pick an actor for each character, and retell the story with the students instead of the video. Finally, I play the video once more simultaneously with the actors, and it's super entertaining. Something else in the same realm that's fun is when you allowed all the students to act simultaneously. On my vlog, I have a video of a complete demo where student groups create these images with their bodies. Check it out. No se muevan. Punto, punto, punto. Punto, punto, punto. Another way to create a spontaneous story that doesn't include any prep is to use story cubes by voting with Wheel Decide, a bank of words created by your students, or an emoji generator, or asking for student whiteboard suggestions on the spot. Story cubes are fun because there's so many options and the act of rolling is fun, but they're kind of expensive. Birdseed.com/emoji, BYRDSEED, is an amazing emoji generator that can send your kids to crazy places doing the most random things. It's so easy. All you have to click is and then, and then, and then, and then, and then. You're gonna be totally impressed with the language your kids already know and what they're gonna do with this. If you're brave, give it a shot. Running dictation is another fun activity because it maximizes the number of times your kids are reading the same story over and 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 over again. If you don't know what I'm talking about, there's an explanation on my blog. One student is reading the story over and over again to transfer the story from a faraway place to the writer in the classroom. The writer is processing it as he writes. The translator is doing the same thing. The orderer is processing it all to put it in chronological order. And the drawer is also getting all of these repetitions as he's hearing, seeing it written, and illustrating it. And finally, you could have this group act out the story. There are tens of ways to use every story in your classroom, so don't let a skit pass you by. Have you ever tried Reader's Theater? If you're reading a novel as a class, it's important to supplement with scaffolding, pre-teaching vocabulary, and comprehension checks. And Reader's Theater is a strategy that will increase comprehension for what you read. Karen Rowan is an expert at Reader's Theater using Don Quixote, and I'll put a link to her video in the notes of this presentation. You, the teacher, are usually doing all the reading, and the students are just reacting to what you say. Make sure you choose sections for Reader's Theater that will be fun to do and that have lots of back and forth dialogue or movement. There's more to learn when there's more to be seen. The teacher should model expressive reading and acting. Each time that an actor responds to a line, ask for more enthusiasm, more drama, more heartache, more sadness, more movement. Even if they're the Spanish man on the street, act like it wasn't enough. Every time you ask them to try it again and to do a better job, you got another repetition. If you have the resources, increase comprehension by adding props, costumes, and scenery. You don't need to spend a lot of money to get a box of fun. Don't forget that pencil can be a sword and that backpack can be a turtle shell.
Tortuga grande! Yeah! Regresa con la tortuga! Vamos, tortuga! Muy bien!
Here's a list of my favorite multi-use props. Rope, printable masks, animals, wigs, long pointy things, a steering wheel, multi-use fabric, cultural products, creepy dead things, and more. If you want the whole class to be in groups and do their own version of a piece for repetitions, Read, Think, Write has a great rubric. I'll put a link in the workshop notes if you want to grade their efforts. There are many ways to teach so that your students can comprehend what you're saying. Guess what? If they can't understand you, you're not teaching them a language. Using student actors is one of many ways you can increase comprehension. But please make sure you're doing everything you can to make sure your kids are getting it. Draw pictures. Personalize the stories with questions to students that they can answer. Point pause at translations. Speak slowly. Not that I've mastered this. Make eye contact. You know the lost face. Use props. Circle your statements and say them in a variety of ways. Ask yes or no questions and either or questions and fill in the blank questions to make sure they're on track. Search for cognates. Use personal pronouns, maybe a little more than native speakers would if you think they don't know who you're talking about. Pantomime and use signs to keep them on track. Keep it simple, stick to the here and now, and keep it simple. Please connect with me, www.sarahbreckley.com or on Twitter, @sarahbreckley.com, SARAHBRECKLEY, on YouTube. I'm at Sarah Breckley.